I'm going to do my best to inspire you to explore the option of using this paint color in your home. It's called Silver Feather, and it's a light paint color that is deceptively colorful, considering how gray it looks. It's a little more than silver, and I'll get into some details about this color in today's video in case you want to use it in your home. I'm also going to equip you with a myriad of color pairings that go really well with it. Well, maybe not a myriad. Just 3. A couple color pairings. How about a cute bop of the like button to get us going? Because why not? Like a lot of things design related, I find paint colors to also be pretty cyclical. Even when we're talking about art as a whole. You had your pre-modern stuff, which is extremely intricate, grandiose, and then you have modern, which pushed back against that and went for more cleaner and streamlined design elements. And then postmodern just showed up and turned everything on its head. There's always this back and forth dynamic going on, and paint color is no different. We go from colors to neutrals, dark rich colors to pastels, beige to gray, back to beige again. So where does Silver Feather fit in all of this? Well, we can assume that it's gray-ish, at least with a name like that, and with the growing contempt towards gray as a whole. Is there any room for it in today's day and age? Of course there is. There's room for every color in my mind, as long as it's the right use case that resonates with you. Okay, James, but what kind of color is Silver Feather? Well, Behr Paint makes it pretty easy for us because when we go on the website, we can find out some pretty useful information about it. The first thing is the LRV, which is the light reflectance value. And this is a 0 to 100 number that tells us how light this paint color is. The higher it goes, the brighter it'll appear in your home, essentially. And Silver Feather is a 71, which is up there. It's a pretty light, airy color, but I would say more importantly, you can look right below that and notice that it's part of the green color family. Now, I do find that this color family tag that Behr does can be misleading sometimes with certain colors, but I can attest to the fact that Silver Feather very much has a bit of a green undertone. That's really its distinguishing characteristic to me, and it also makes it a compelling paint color choice. You almost get this very gentle, cool sage green that is barely noticeable in some cases. Subtlety is key with Silver Feather, and it really can be an interesting choice as the interior paint color for the main parts of your home, especially if you're into a more contemporary feel, possibly transitional, even modern farmhouse or coastal. Now, I did mention that I put a color palette together for Silver Feather, but I didn't necessarily want to go firmly into the direction of a particular design style. I approached this one in a more holistic manner, where the colors are all just connected based on the colors themselves, rather than thinking about a particular style that could pigeonhole them. The first color pairing is Planetary Silver, and this is a color that is much more silver feeling, having less of that apparent green undertone. It's also a little bit darker with a 62 LRV, which is still light enough to be used comfortably, I would say. And although this is a paint color that feels pretty close to a true gray, it may end up feeling more cooler leaning in your home based on the lighting that you have. I tend to enjoy this color in rooms that maybe perhaps get a larger amount of warmer lighting, because that could help balance off that silvery, slightly cooler aspect of Planetary Silver. And at the same time, it's still going to feel noticeable on the walls, which I think is a good thing. It's a pretty clear choice to me because it's definitely in the same wheelhouse as Silver Feather. I mean, they both have silver in the name for one. The next color introduces a noticeable amount of warmth, being part of the yellow color family, but what it ends up feeling like is more of a wheat color, and it's called Baby Artichoke. Don't think of an adult, fully grown artichoke, which is very much green in coloration. Baby Artichoke looks a little more like delicious artichoke dip, which my wife does not enjoy as much as I do. Never have anyone to share it with. Moving on. Even though this color just feels like beige, I think it's a very important element of this palette because it provides some vitality and lift to the otherwise grayscale colors that preceded it. One of the pitfalls of silvery gray colors in general is the over-reliance on them. There's been a lot of houses that I've walked into where there's just mid-tone grays everywhere, and the house ends up feeling depersonalized in a way, as if it was just painted or staged that way to make it feel hip, but really you just end up feeling like you're in a tinfoil house or something. That's a bit of an exaggeration, but you get what I mean. Baby Artichoke is the lightest color we've talked about so far, and by far the warmest as well. So the areas where you want to have a more I don't know, easygoing, uplifting feeling, especially if you're incorporating things like natural woods and creams and linens, all that Scandi-inspired IKEA goodness. That's right where Baby Artichoke slots in perfectly. This ends up being my accent color. It's called Growing Season, and I specifically wanted to select a lighter color generally that is accentuated by its hue rather than its depth. So I want the color to really stand out here. I also wanted the color palette as a whole to feel a bit more easy breezy while also carrying over that silver theme. This brings in a lovely light mid-tone pistachio green. And I think what it does is it prevents the palette from feeling too mechanical with the gray aspect and maybe a bit too predictable with just beige as another color. This really rounds things out for me. And also another little side benefit of not going dark with an accent color is it gives you more opportunities to perhaps toss it into rooms that don't get quite as much light as you would like, while a much darker accent color would really exaggerate that darkness even further. I really tried to take things in different directions with this palette, so I hope you're enjoying it so far. But we know we're not done yet because the 4 main colors are one thing. We also have to find colors for your woodwork as well. The stuff that isn't drywall, like your doors, your frames, and your baseboards. I wouldn't recommend you use your wall paint on those surfaces unless you're insane.
You're a crazy person.
I mean, I like a bit of crazy sometimes, you know. A nice option would be a cold white like Frost, which is one of the most popular white paint colors by Behr. It has a touch of that icy green as an undertone, and what it translates to in practicality is almost a fun fluorescent white for your trim. A darker trim color for those of you that want another option would be Light Year.
To infinity and beyond!
And this would be my darker trim option if you wanted something different. I feel it does a great job at coordinating with all of the other paint colors. Planetary Silver isn't too far off in terms of lightness from this one, but it's much cooler, so that will help it pop off one another in a really interesting way. Here's the palette all together. I'm extremely excited to hear what you have to say about it because it's kind of a fun one for me. This is another one by Behr. If you really love the Behr paint ecosystem, I got all kinds of videos coming your way.